It's 7 p.m. I'd like to call the Brimfield Township Board of Trustees meeting to order. Roll call for attendance. Kevin?
Here.
Sue?
Yes.
Nick Coy is also present. We do have a quorum. If everybody could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of prayer or silent meditation. Thank you. We are now on to approval of the agenda, so I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. We can now discuss the agenda. Is there any changes or amendments to the agenda for the special meeting?
No.
Do we want to add warrants and purchase orders today that were presented by fiscal?
Oh, I would do it.
Sure.
Okay, so we'll add the
I-
warrants and purchase orders.
Yeah, well, I reviewed all that today.
Okay, and then we'll also add the approval of the 18th meeting and the 20th meeting agenda, or meeting minutes.
Can we do that all in just one motion then?
Yeah,
Or do
it's
we
an
have-
amendment to the agenda. So we can-
Oh, amendment to the, yeah, I would make an amendment to the agenda to address those issues.
Okay. So we have a motion, a second. Now we have an amendment to the agenda to add warrants, approval of warrants, approval of purchase orders, and approval of meeting minutes for July 18th and the 3 meetings on July 20th. Any further discussion on the agenda? Hearing none, roll call to accept the amended agenda. Kevin?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Nick? Yes. All right, this will lead us into, we'll do warrants first. I'll entertain a motion to accept the warrants as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Roll call. Kevin?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Nick? Yes. I'll entertain a motion to accept the purchase orders as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Roll call. Kevin?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Nick? Yes. All right, I'll entertain a motion to accept the meeting minutes for the July 18th special meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right, any discussion? Roll call. Kevin?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Nick? Yes. I'll entertain a motion to accept the July 20th fiscal budget meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Roll call. Kevin?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Nick? Yes. I'll entertain a motion to accept the July 20th bid opening meeting minutes.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Roll call. Kevin?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Nick? Yes. I'll entertain a motion to accept the July 20th regular meeting minutes.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Roll call. Kevin?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Nick? Yes. All right. We typically would host public comments on agenda items. We're going to make a small adjustment to that today. We're going to have the board presentation, which is going to be the fire department presentation, and then we'll go back to the public comments. That way, if there's additional comments before it goes to any board vote or board decisions, we can hear from the public at that point. But this way, the fire chief can kind of give a whole update, and then the board can make any comments, and then we can open it up for comments and go back to the regular meeting as presented. So, if you want to speak tonight, it is 3 minutes per person. There is a sign-up sheet over there on the table. We do ask that you sign in to speak, and then when we do call your name, you would come up to the lectern. So, as you hear the presentation, if you have questions or you want to make comments, sign-in sheet is there. With that said, let's go ahead and move into fire department. Resolution to proceed fire department, 1.95 mil levy. Chief, if you could please give us an update.
Yeah, thank you, board, and thank you for the public for coming in tonight. We're here tonight, as you just said, to ask for a resolution to proceed. As you just stated, 1.95 mil fire levy for a 5-year period is what we're here to discuss. Just to give an update to the public of how this works is typically you have to ask for a resolution of necessity, which we did at the last meeting last Monday night, and then we had to do a separate meeting to do a resolution to proceed, and that's why we're here tonight. But we're also here tonight to try to shed a little more light on why we need what we need. So Joe, I did put together a PowerPoint presentation, so if you could bring that up. And bear with me on this. Again, here to ask for the resolution to proceed. I think we all realize the growth of the township in the last 8 to 10 years has been significant. We asked for new operating money in 2014. That is what we are working off of. In that time frame, and actually, I'm sorry, my numbers go back to 2010, we have a 67.2 increase in emergency responses. So beyond when we asked for the last new operating money, we've had a significant increase in our call volume. It is what it is. The township's growing. Again, I think the biggest thing I could say is, again, we had that growth. Things take more hands. It takes more people to run EMS calls now. We're electronic reporting, which takes one person. Beyond that, we have new safety features in the ambulances. Also, is the cot, for example, that everybody uses now, but that weighs 130 pounds. So that takes 2 people to take that in. So even though things have changed and have always changed for the better, it does take as many, if not more, firemen, paramedic to run calls. So again, I put together something tonight here. So in this, and this is, I'm sorry if you can't see this because that's hard for me to see. This is just showing a projection of, at the bottom, as we go across the bottom from 2024, we knew that we were starting to get to the end of our money. In 2025, we knew we were there. At that point, as you pass it along, and I won't read every single number if you want this, I'm sure you could ask for it later, but it significantly starts to dip beyond 2025. And again, factors related to just more calls. We're running more calls. The township's growing significantly. Go ahead, Joe. Some of our, is that where we're at? Yes. Some of our cost-saving initiatives that we have done just recently, as the year went on this year, we had actually 3 resignations and 1 fire prevention that was moved onto line. We replaced one of those firefighters and did not replace 2 of them. Again, we kind of forecasted that our budget was very tight and we wouldn't be able to add those back on. So you can see our projected savings in 2026 is $122,500. Projected savings is $145,000. The reason there isn't a significant difference in that is if you've been here, you've heard me talk about our entry-level firefighter program. Those firefighters are starting out at $30,000, and 2 of those firefighters are at that rate. So, again, if I could go back and say we're trying to do new programs where we hire firefighters at a lower cost because we know we can't afford the firefighters at $70,000, $80,000. Those were 2 of those, so that's why you don't see a huge difference. And then one of them was a topped-out firefighter. Go ahead.
You want to talk into the microphone a little bit better? Thank you.
Joe, go ahead. That is the next one? Go to the next
Didn't
one.
change up here.
Okay, that's the right one. Okay, so again, some of our cost-saving initiatives, we did reduce overtime. We forecasted that we would be short, so we reduced overtime. In 2025, it was approximately $133,000 that we had in overtime. In 2026, we are currently at $46,700, which if you play out the rest of the year would be $83,600, and that's a $49,400 savings. So again, trying to forecast ahead on that. Go ahead. Sorry. We did service contracts were suspended. Those are our Hirsch tools, our Jaws of Life. We are not servicing those right now. That's a significant cost. Our power cots and our monitors. We don't have a service contract. We're replacing batteries as needed. That's a $10,000 savings and would be again in 2027 if we had to continue that. It's not what we want to do, but we're trying to save some dollars on that.
Oh, can I interrupt?
Yep.
When did that happen? These
Uh,
service contracts?
Beginning of this year. We never signed any contracts this year.
I don't really like the sound of Jaws of Life being not serviced.
Well, again, some of your service is your oiling and stuff that we can do. What they do on these contracts is they include everything but not the batteries, and typically the batteries are what goes. So again, we were
You said we
taking a
did that at
chance
the
on
beginning
that.
of this year? Did you bring that to the board?
I did not.
Okay. That's right. Sorry, go ahead.
Um, 2026 staffing savings, we're projected to save 122,500. Overtime project savings of 49,400, and the service contracts totaling 181,900 to date on that. Go ahead. So potential next steps, things we can do to get to, if we, don't go back, Joe, but if we went back to that second slide, it shows that we're estimated to be 400,000 in the hole. So I looked at potential next steps of what we could do to try to eliminate that deficit this year. And some of those things that I brought to the board, and we would have to have discussion on these, are eliminating additional overtime. Estimated that at 36,000. We would potentially go from general alarms, and I can explain this to the public. A general alarm is we're out, we don't have enough staffing, staff gets called back. We have currently 20 members on the department, all 20 could come back. It never happens. If we went to a shift callback only, that would mean that the shift before the shift that is currently on could come back. So that would eliminate from 20 potential down to 6. There could be some cost savings there. It's very typical for us to only get 1 or 2 come in on overtime regardless what shift callback or general alarm that I put in place. Right now, currently, to explain that, 8 to 4 Monday through Friday, we have shift callbacks, and then on the off hours, we do general alarms. Line item carryover, just looking at the budget, you take the budget, you split it into approximately 50 lines. Over those 50 lines, I estimated I could probably carry over about 60,000. Again, those are making tough cuts, and looking at the things that we did talk about, service contracts and other things, but we could probably carry over another 60,000 on that. And then a couple months ago, the Attorney General collections was $30,000. We put that in place so we could collect some additional funding. How do I say this? For the people who don't pay at all, it goes back to their taxes, so we run on them. We take them to the hospital, they refuse to pay. It can get put on their taxes, so we will collect something from the people who haven't paid.
Is that 30,000, is that an estimate?
This is estimate.
Okay.
A lot of these are all
So it could be zero.
Yes, but it would not be. This is coming from Life Force Management on their
So
projections.
what was the total amount on their projections? Because there was a reduction in value to that, correct?
So the total value was 90,000.
So they're saying they could collect we
So
could collect 90,000.
on 2025, it was 92,000 bucket that was out there if we collected at 100%.
Right.
We took that and obviously dummied it down
Okay.
to guess what we could collect. Again, that is based, if that doesn't make sense, that is based on our collection rate which is 36% on EMS billing. So if I could touch on that briefly, last year in 2025, we billed out 1.26 million and collected 460,000 and some change. We go back to them all the time to see if we could collect differently. I wasn't going to get into this, but we will. 70% of our patients are Medicare and Medicaid. With that, the government pays $289 no matter what. So if we have an ALS bill out there for $1,000 and it's Medicare and Medicaid, which 70% of our patients fall into, we get $289. So looking at what we could collect, we watch it. It's pretty much where we can be right now.
Now, does that take into account that when we first started the ambulances, that we went around and knocked on everybody's door? And if you are a resident of Brimfield, then we collect what their insurance coverages would pay, and then we don't collect any more from that? Is that
Yeah, so
correct?
that's soft billing. That is what we continue to
Oh,
do
they
right
call
now.
that soft billing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We do soft billing right now, and actually that's my next bullet point here. Again, we're talking about potential actions here. We could take that soft billing and we could go to hard billing. That would collect more money. So soft billing right now, the difference between soft billing and hard billing is that I go on a resident right now. If you're a resident, I collect your insurance pays me what they pay me, and I walk away. Hard billing is for non-residents. Insurance pays me what they pay me, and we also send them a bill for the difference.
I wouldn't want to do that. I wouldn't want to change
I would not
that.
want to do that either, but I want to lay options out in front of the board for discussion, and it is something we could do. It is something we could do for a while and take back.
You're talking about hard billing for residents.
Correct.
No, I
Well,
wouldn't want to do that.
That won't happen.
Again, the board, please understand I'm laying out options. I don't
I
want
know,
these
but
either.
You could just
So,
take that one off, because that's not an option.
Again, just laying out options in front of you.
Okay.
Go to next slide.
Hold on. Back up. That line item carryover 60,000, you kind of just brushed off. What are you looking at there?
I would have to take a lot of my line items, what's left in those, for example, our maintenance and improvement could be one of them. If I had 20,000 in that bucket and I only spent 5, that would be a carryover.
But give me an example.
Well, that is an example. Maintenance and improvement, equipment, uniforms. I'd have to look at all of them, Kevin. But that's out of probably 15 line items I looked at and thought that maybe I could carry some over from those.
Can you give me a specific of one? I mean, I'm just trying to put
Maintenance
pieces.
and improvement,
Okay,
I mean, that's one.
that's on the building?
Could be. So I go through the service of the whole year. I don't have to call for air conditioning. I don't have to call for heating. That's money that was set aside and never used it. It would carry over.
But that's a variable.
It is.
Okay,
Again, I'll go back and say a lot of these are variables.
okay.
Kevin, I'm looking at the spreadsheet here. So maintenance and improvement, just to give you some money, dollars to think about. Right line item. Repairs and maintenance, there's $6,000 allocated. Repairs and maintenance for equipment was $20,000. Repairs and maintenance of vehicles was $17,000. Repairs and maintenance of buildings was $1,162. That's out of the fire levy or the fire fund. That doesn't include the ambulance fund. Now, this isn't what we have or not spent. That's just what was budgeted for that year. I don't have what was spent.
So is the complete maintenance and improvement, is that 60,000 total? Or is
No,
that
the-
just one piece of the 60,000?
again, if I had 50 line items, I'm looking at what I could carry
Okay.
over out of some of those line
Okay.
items.
All right.
And it gets a little confusing, because then you have to look at, so that's 2191.
Does Joe have this slide or no?
No, this is
Okay.
that, this is that
Okay.
spreadsheet
Okay.
that went around. 2281 is the EMS fund line. And so then maintenance costs are covered between both of those funds. So it's typically looks like Jasmine splits it. If you look at repairs and maintenance in 2281, so the ambulance side, then there's another 15,000 set aside there, 19,000 for equipment. So there's another 35,000 there. Now, I don't know what the fire department has spent out of that. This is just what was budgeted so we could do that forecast for the year.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep. Do you know what you spent this year, Craig?
It's not in front of me.
Okay.
I mean, I can get that, but
No, that's
it's
all right.
not, it's not
Okay.
in front of me right now.
Okay.
Good, move
Yep.
on. Okay, just to kind of recap of what we just talked about, if we did a lot of the things that we talked about with some of the things we've already done and some of the potentials, we could potentially get to a total of 347,900. Again, these are estimated things. As you stated, if we get down to the bottom, we talk about hard billing, it's not something I want to do at all. So we could remove that, and it just shortens the pot a little bit more.
So
But
you're still in
look-
a deficit of $50,000 for the year.
Correct. Well, 100,000, if we're at 400,000 deficit.
So 400 minus 350, unless you pull the hard billing out, but,
That's what I was saying, if we pull the hard billing out.
okay.
If we go down those, do you have any questions on those? Because I want to touch on the overtime potential, if there's. Yes, keep going.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, if your overtime potential, I want to touch on that because that's a very loaded area. I cannot take 100% of the overtime and go away. We would not be able to run second calls. We would not be able to run third calls. We would not be able to have the minimum staffing that we need. So we can curb that. But at overtime encompasses a lot of different things. And I'm not sure if I put that, sorry, one second. I didn't put that on that slide, so we'll talk about it now. I mean, overtime, pays for all our events, our senior luncheon. It does the things that are the extras, including the shift overtime, again, running callbacks. So we would have to guess at that, but I don't think there's any way that we could eliminate, if I went back to the beginning, I think it was 83,000 for the rest of this year. So we just took a guess at that. But overtime, for example, if we run mutual aid out of town, if I cut my staffing down and we did those things and we had no callbacks and we get second calls and I don't go to Rootstown, they're not coming back to me. That's how it works. So we got to be very careful on what we would do on the overtime potential on that cut. So I just wanted to talk about that real quickly. Go ahead, Joe. So again, going back to what we're here for tonight, again, if I could recap a little bit, I think there's some cuts that we could make to get closer to that, eliminating that deficit. I would probably need help from the board to get there. But even if I got there in 2026, and we'll talk about that in a second, going into 2027, if it happened not to pass, but it's still not sustainable. We are at the end of our new operating money. So we still have to run a levy. That is the only way that I can collect the amount of money that would take to move the fire department forward. So the proposed levy that's on the floor tonight, well, was in again tonight, is a 1.95 mil levy. That's what it would collect per year, is $930,323. And I say these now because last week I did not get the official numbers till after we did the resolution of necessity. Now I have the exact numbers. Again, those are $68,000 per $100,000 home valuation, and $5.67 per month for each $100,000 home valuation. Go ahead. Again, if we continued, if we did not pass the levy in November and had to go in, there, again, I'll say it one more time, we could make some cuts to get to where we were close to being even, but going beyond that, we would have to continue the 2026 cuts, whatever, as a group we decided, and then we would talk about layoffs, which I do not want to do, but I think it's laying out everything on the table. There's no other way to cut money beyond that. Again, as we continue to grow significantly, I don't have any other options that I could come up with. Go ahead to the last one. Again, estimates, 2027 now we're into if the levy did not pass, where we would be. Staffing positions, overtime projections, service contracts, line item carryover, attorney general collections, and hard billing. This is more based on a full year of collections. And again, this is just estimates. And we're not gonna do this, but again, if we went back to the second slide, it shows 2027 being negative 900. So as you can see, with even a full year collections, I have to get new money, let me say this correctly, new operating money coming in. So with that, any questions from the board that I could try to answer?
Yeah, could you explain, back at the beginning, I don't know, if you want to go put that slide back up, was, you mentioned something about it takes one person for recording?
Yeah, so we've moved to electronic reporting. We have an iPad in our hand now. It's not a handwritten report. So someone is on the report. And like I said, we have to do what we have to do in certain situations. It just takes more
What are they
hands.
actually doing? Explain that.
Electronically reporting. They're electronically typing.
So they're
it.
like typing?
Yep. Doing all vital signs, patient information. Then when we get to the hospital, that gets uploaded to the hospital, so they don't do paper reporting anymore. So again, as things change, sometimes gets easier, sometimes gets more difficult.
So you went from paper reporting
Yes.
to electronic, and you have to add a person?
No, it just takes.
Well, you take one away. I mean, it takes one person to do the,
It does. It does.
well, who,
So staffing wise, if you don't mind, Kevin.
No, go ahead. No.
I think I see where you're going with this. Staffing wise, what is the minimum? If you had to run minimum today, can you run with two?
No. You can't. So you're asking. This is a loaded question. Yes, I can run with 2. I need 3. 3 is safe for us.
And
Yeah. Now, if we go out right now and we get a call and we have 2, yeah, we run with 2. So does that make sense? We will do it, but we want to have 3. That gives
Would you
it-
say in an electronic situation of reporting, you have less errors?
Yeah, in the end, it does,
In
but
the end?
it takes more time.
In an electronic thing, when you get to the hospital already has the information on that patient coming in.
Correct.
So if I'm going to die, I better die in a truck and.
Correct, and a lot of times,
Hospital?
those things have you, if I put your address in, it pops up the
Yeah,
information
that's already in, they already have that. And if your records are already there at the hospital, they have the records all pulled up and ready to take care of that person, correct?
Correct.
Oh, I understand, okay.
It's speedier, but not sometimes,
Okay.
so.
Is that data that has to be prepared before they arrive at the hospital, or is it data that could be entered and gathered while you have wall time?
Both. Again, I know where you're getting at, and it's just patient dependent. It really is.
Okay.
Is it a broken finger or a heart attack? Is it a trauma? What is it? So both. I would answer that.
I mean, if it's a trauma, they're both in the back probably working the patient anyways and catch up paperwork after you get into the trauma bay.
Yeah, but we're still marking down the things that we need to mark down as we're going.
Okay.
For example, I'm running a full arrest. I need to log that drug time. I need to hit that button. Doesn't take much, but there's things that happen.
And it has to be digitally recorded, or can it be written down and then backlogged down later, or are they trying to timestamp it by the?
Well, again, both. They want it done a certain way, but I think the difference between our job and our service as paramedics and firemen is different than in hospital is we might be in the rainstorm that just happened, you know, things, it takes more.
Do you remember when Dick Mester came in here and y'all looked at him and they said, "Boy, you don't look good."
Yeah, it's
And
right,
he
right
put-
back there in the
That's why I
hallway.
remember that, because he's here tonight. And anyway, you took him right then, and by the time you got to the hospital, they had him ready for the operating room. Now, that's what the electronic thing would help us with, correct?
Yes, monitors are electronic.
Yeah.
We can send heart
Dick, I'm
reports
glad
to
you're
the
still with us.
hospital, but we have to do it. We
Yeah.
have to manually put those in to get them to the hospital ahead of time.
Yeah, well, that's
So-
just an example that I remembered of how the electronic thing that we have
Right.
is really good for us.
You're
Okay.
correct.
Thank you, Dick, for letting me say that.
Other questions?
Anything else?
Yeah, could you go over how the overtime and the callbacks coincide? Like you say you're gonna cut overtime.
Okay, so again, I'll explain. So right now, we have 8 to 4, Monday through Friday, is a shift callback. Shift callback would be, we have A, B, and C shift. We're on B shift currently. We go out, we run a call. We need to backfill the station. We call back A shift, the shift before. That gives only the opportunity for the 6 people on that shift to come back. If it becomes after 4, or we'll just call it a general alarm, it gives the opportunity for all members to come back and staff the station. Is that what you're asking?
So all members of the shift would,
All members of the department,
okay.
which sounds like a lot, but we don't get it. We get 1 or 2. So we played with those numbers when we initially went with that. We started with a shift callback all the way around the clock, 24 hours, 7 days a week, and we weren't getting enough people back to run those second calls. So that's where we put in 8 to 4, Monday through Friday. We would do shift callbacks because there's additional staffing there during the day, and then went to the general alarms, mainly for evening and after dark, which is the potential of people coming back just doesn't happen. But with what I was saying was we could try going back to the shift callback 24/7 and possibly curb some overtime there.
And you noticed this shortfall in the budget, the end of '25?
It's hard to answer that because there's money out there that I didn't know would be shortfall and was told to me weekly that it's worse.
But we didn't implement any of these cuts or try to.
Well, up until a month ago, it was 400,000, and then it went to 500,000, then went to 600,000, and these are things that I did not know.
We're still at 400,000 for 2026.
Well, the other things that are out there.
So what was your projection as of the end of '25?
Positive. I was positive. I thought I was positive. Quickly, as Jasmine came in and did the projections, she quickly told us that we were negative, and then we made some implementations at that point. in the beginning of 2025. But if you wanted the honest truth, I thought I was 200,000 ahead. And then I find out quickly I'm 200,000 behind.
So Jasmine had not brought this to your attention prior to the end of '25?
I can't answer exactly when, but very close to that. We knew that we were going to be in trouble.
Jasmine came on staff like the end of August.
Yeah. And we started looking at that. It took her a couple months
About
to
3
get up to
months,
speed.
yeah.
And then, like I said, we had private discussions, and she said it's not what you think it is. So.
So if we could go back to January of '26, what would you do different?
January of 26.
Yeah. 6 months ago, 7 months ago.
Well, I wish I had numbers that were accurate.
No, I say, what out of these options would you pick?
Oh, if I had to go back and say, hey, we need to do these now?
Yeah.
Well, some of the things we did do, again, overtime, for example. We're taking that overtime, the firemen have taken it as comp time instead of overtime. That's what saved a lot of that money.
But we didn't
this
do
year.
that in January.
No, they started doing it pretty quickly, beyond the first of the year. Again, we knew that we were going to be in trouble. It feels like it keeps getting worse.
Okay, so that would be your go-to.
Well, that would be the first one. I mean, if we're in trouble, we probably need to cut some of the things that, you know, the events that are out there that cost extra money. Those, unfortunately, those cost extra money.
So like,
and those are the things you would cut.
so like the senior luncheon ballpark figure, if you were to cut that,
Yeah,
1,000, 2,000,
5,000.
that costs fine.
Yeah.
Off the top of your head, what costs 5,000? The lunch itself?
Yeah, the overtime.
Okay.
That's not all of it, but that's a significant amount. I cannot do it with the 4 to 5 firemen on shift. As you see, when you were here, it took 10 of us, 12 of us to do it. And that was with the help of the public.
So when you started noticing this shortfall at the beginning of '26, why did you approach the board and have the board backfill the entry-level firefighter? Because that could have been another $5,000-$10,000 savings.
Again, at the time, I didn't know we were going to be as bad as where we were or where we are right now. But if you ask me, I have to have the staffing to run calls. We did move the fire prevention office out to run extra calls. We did eliminate that, as we said, but again, as I stated in the beginning, if we continue to grow at this rapid rate, I have to be able to keep up with emergency calls. And
How many-
and using that option of a $30,000 fireman was pretty cheap.
How many do you have on staff on each shift right now?
We have 20 total, so I have 7, and 6.
And a typical day has how many in the station?
3 to 4.
Is there days that we have 5?
Yeah.
If we were down an officer per shift, would we still be able to have 3 on station, scheduling wise?
Yes.
Okay.
But again, it's just that fine line that we're going backwards as things are moving forward. I know what you're asking. It's just
Yeah, and I get that, but we also have to work within the budget that we have, which I'm going to
Yeah.
talk on that a little bit too. And so we still have a lieutenant. We have one lieutenant per shift, but one shift has two lieutenants because we moved him out of fire prevention to the
Correct.
road. Okay, anything else?
Yeah, can we switch gears a little bit here? I'm assuming everybody is aware that, to make it through the end of the year, some of these other departments are gonna have to take a, or give you a donation, correct?
Well, I don't know. That would be the board's decision on can we shift JED funds?
Am I right?
You know, how would that
Nick?
work? Do we have a loan? If you wanted to talk about that. I can't answer those ones.
So it depends on how the account ends up at the end of the year, but potentially. There's multiple line items. If you just look strictly at JED funding, yeah, we'd have to shift some JED funding. The question that we haven't had time as a board to discuss or even really research is the TIF dollars. There's a lot of TIF dollars sitting there. TIF dollars could, in theory, be spent on the road projects, which then would bump Dave's budget up. You could reduce his JED funding so he stays whole, which then frees up additional money to be general fund money, or could be fire department money or police or whoever needed it at the time, right? But there has not been enough time to go through that exercise. So without being able to go through the exercise, yeah, you have to move some JED funding around because I don't know how else you do it until we go through the exercise.
Right.
Now, that is a viable option, I believe, and could help stabilize some of this and try to reduce burden on taxpayers, is putting it back in these development areas through the TIFs. But we need to work through the language of those TIFs some more and then do that calculation. I will say that Jasmine's doing an excellent job giving us these 5-year projections. This is, police has always done a great job of that. We know what they look like. Roads has always been stable. They don't really do, per se, the 5-year projection. We'll get that sheet. I'd like to see it. I know Jasmine will work on it. Fire is the one, this is the first time I've seen this from fire, and that's where we see the concern. So let's address the TIFs. That's potential money that could be there. JED funding increase. We know Kenda Tire is coming in. There's some additional funding that's potentially coming there in 27. Let's talk about the $1 million one, because I know everybody wants to ask about that, so we'll just put it out there. $1 million. Where's the $1 million at? We are still in a 2024 audit from the state auditor. They have not submitted anything to the board saying that there's any missing or stolen money, but we do know money was spent over several years through the fire department to cover costs of the construction fund, but there were small chunks here and there, and that's what started this whole conversation in 2025. If we were to inject that $1 million, let's say that $1 million came out of general fund today. It's not in general fund, but if it was, and we injected it back into the fire fund in 2027, fire is still negative $33,000 at the end of the year. That's not the saving grace there. What's going to happen with that? We have to finish the 2024 audit. They're close to that. They're waiting for a document for the JED M&I, and that will settle that, and then we'll get that final report out to the public. After that's done, we need to figure out who needed to pay for overages. Was it a fire overage? Was it an admin overage? Before we can settle that, we have to finalize our legal negotiations and our settlements with both the contractor and the architect. That's a legal process. It could be 6 months, it could be 12 months, it could be 2 years. We can't do anything until we know what those actual costs are. Once those costs are done, then we can go back and say, okay, these cost overruns were based on fire, these cost overruns were based on general fund, this is who owes what. But that's not the saving grace right now, because A, the money isn't there, B, we can't even leverage or calculate that out until the project's done because we have ongoing negotiations. If that makes sense, Kevin.
Oh, it makes the mud even muddier, but yes.
Because it's difficult because, yeah, we could just say, well, this is the total cost when we get to negotiations, reimburse each department, 50% of negotiations, but we're negotiating different parts. So was it a fire negotiation? Was it an admin?
Mm-hmm.
Then you start floating money back and forth and it gets even muddier than what it already is.
Yeah.
So the best bet is to lock it where it is, wait for those settlements to happen and those negotiations to end, and then we move through and figure that piece out.
I have a question.
All right?
Chief,
Yeah.
I would like for you to explain this fire prevention position
Okay.
To eliminate that, you've projected it would save us $100,000 a year. So I would like to, would you explain to me what the duties are
Yeah.
in a fire prevention type person?
So first of all, it's a fire prevention officer. So they're one of the higher ranked officers on the department. They sit on not a 24, 48-hour shift. They sit on a daytime shift. They go out during the day and they inspect the businesses to make sure they're safe for residents, firefighters. They go beyond that to inspect businesses that are being put in, make sure the underground's right, the water systems, the hydrants, all the things that go into the building. Typically, they're out multiple times with multiple buildings. We approximately have 250 plus buildings. That in a perfect world, that person would get out to all of them. They also go into the schools and do education for the children and other things like that. Beyond that, there are another daytime staff that could help for calls, because again, I think it's important for me to run calls first and foremost. But that's kind of what they did, and they sat here 8 to 4, Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday.
Let me ask a question on it then. Is it potential that line officers could go out and do those inspections, those routine
It is.
inspections? So we could take, put them in an ambulance, say, take the ambulance with you, go do the inspection,
It
and
is.
that's money that comes in. Because if you say we have 250 buildings, now obviously you'd want to code this some way based on square footage, but we'll just average everybody for math right now. 250 buildings, $400 a building, we're at $100,000, right? Is that something that we could be instituting now and saying, hey, staff, this is the expectation, we know that you're gonna have calls, when you have calls, obviously take care of the calls, but in the meantime, these are additional things that we can be bringing funding in for.
They can, and we have to look at that. We moved that person out onto line to run calls right now, and we were in discussions of how we would do this in the future. Kind of what you said.
Yeah, but yeah, can we split that, can we start looking at splitting that up now where we say, hey, you know what? A shift, B shift, C shift, here's your list, you got a 6-month goal.
You
check
could
it.
do that. You'd want a inspector on each shift, so there would be some education because there's 2 fire inspectors on shift right now, and 3. One would have to still be sent to training
Okay.
on that. But yeah, it's something we've internally discussed.
All right, thank you.
When do you think we would implement that? Yesterday?
Well, again, right now, it was most important to, as we're losing staffing, to run the calls. So we're trying to take care of those calls right now. So, yes, some we can implement, it's just, where do we want to spend the money?
How much is fire inspector school, rough estimate, do you think?
I'd have to look. It's probably not that much.
So,
I'd say 5,000.
so an initial investment of 5,000, make 100,000 at the end of the year.
Sure.
We have to do 3, so 15 grand?
No, I
Oh.
already have some that are already trained.
Yeah, just one person that we need to go through.
Okay.
You just need one per shift. They could have a helper, right? One of the firefighters.
Correct,
could
so they
help.
would go out as an inspector, and they could bring the shift with them, you know.
So they have extra hands to speak.
So we could take some of these buildings, take Walmart, that's a big building, so you want extra hands anyways for that. But, yeah, there's potential there. Again, there's some things that we could discuss at any point that we can go beyond this. I brought to you tonight what I thought would be the cost savings options.
Well, I'm concerned about the type of work that the fire prevention person, whoever that may be, does in that inspecting. Now, these buildings are being built to see if they come up to code. If they say we want 3 inches of asphalt and you find out you only get it 1 inch or 3/4 of an inch, that's not, you gotta make sure people are trying to be honest and above board in the work that they do. But for them not to be inspected as things go on layer by layer as you're building things, I think that's a detriment to the community under long-term.
So I keep saying the
stuff.
same thing, that's kind of a loaded question, because I agree with everything you said,
Yeah,
but I have to be out running the emergency calls too, so.
For that
so-
one-
So
one
those
person.
people are helping me staff the shift that's running to the houses right now.
Okay.
So in a perfect world, I bring that person back and I have more money and I can dedicate that. Right now, we may be on shift and we may get 12 calls. So that's great that they had an inspection done, but I gotta run the heart attack. So it's kind of we just don't know how the day goes.
But if we're not
sometimes.
running the heart attack, we could be getting the inspections.
Yes.
So, Nick mentioned fire prevention could take the ambulance to Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
If you get a call to Walmart, you're already there.
Sure.
Why aren't we doing that?
What if I get a call to Sandy Lake and I'm at Walmart?
Where's the majority of your phone, or your calls go in?
So I'm not arguing with you. That's a loaded question. Again, I don't know where the call comes in.
Majority of
I
them
can't
are-
guess at that.
Majority of your calls are down there, I would think.
Well, I know,
I can't say
I
that.
just want to really point out how important this particular job of fire prevention is to the community as a whole and for the future.
And again, I think I totally agree with you.
Okay.
We need money. We need more money to be able to operate and keep up. We got to be able to keep up. And we're at a deficit right now, so I had to make a hard decision on what we were doing. And it was more important to me, and I'll say it again, to run emergency calls right now.
Thank you.
And when did when did fire prevention get put on hold?
At the beginning of this year.
What's that date? That was
He
put on hold?
just said the beginning of the year, so January?
January, oh, okay.
Kevin, I want to circle back to something you said earlier, just for clarification to the public.
Okay.
The taking money from other departments can only be JED funded.
Right.
Right? 'Cause we
Okay.
can't, if there's a road levy, I can't take Dave's road money. They're not
Right.
taking the road levy money. Just giving this
Right.
example here, like his road levy money has to stay with road, right?
Yep.
Police levy money has to stay with police. Those dollars can't.
Right.
JED is the only potential movement that exists there. Just for discussion purposes, to put everybody on the same page with information that I have, so I talked with Beth at the auditor's office. The 1.7 mils that the EMS currently operates under, so they operate, fire department has, hold this up here so I get the numbers right. The fire department has 2 levies. If you look at the levy page, if you look at the auditor's page, it looks like 3, but 2 of those are combined. They have to report them separately on the line item because of a code down at the state, but they're essentially, they are the same. We combined them in 2014. So 1.7 mils in 2014 collected $380,000. That money, typically when you pass a levy, we're saying this is the millage, this is the max you can collect. There's a few numbers in there that change that. It has to do with public utilities, it has to do with some public infrastructure changes. That money can fluctuate some, but if you add more houses, it's not adding more money, it's more the public utilities, some commercial pieces that change that. So between 2014 and 2025, because they're paying in 26, so 2025, that money went from $380,000 a year to $470,000 a year. So that's a $90,000 increase over an 11-year period. But I asked the question, I said, what if we ran 1.7 mils in 25, and they collected all in 25 and we paid out this year? So what is that 1.7 mils worth in 25? It would have collected at $811,000. Okay, so we're collecting at 470. If we would have ran that in 25, it would have collected at 811,000. That's that difference that we don't see. I bring that up not because I want to see everybody's taxes go up, but as houses are built, those taxes go down, other taxes go up because other things get passed. I get that, and it's hard to see that in our numbers. But what we were trying to operate on in 2014 is not what we're operating on today. Does that make sense what I'm trying to
Yeah.
project here?
Yeah, I understand.
So that's just another piece that I want us to take a look at. The road department has the smallest budget to work with. Dave's at 2.85 mils. Police is operating, now his are both renewables, they're 5 years. Police is operating at 8.82, looks like. And those are all continuous ones, but those are collecting at old rates too. I mean, one of their levies is collecting at 2012 rate. That's you do that math again, right? 2012 to 26.
Okay.
And then fire has a 4.9 fire continuous and a 1.7 EMS renewal, which means it renews every 5 years. Now, this was renewed in 2024, so it would have been on the ballot in 23.
No, I think it was November of
It was November 24 because it started collecting 25. So in 2024, I remember having lengthy discussions with you, Chief, about this, and the projections you were given at the time and what you told me was we had enough that because we could have done a renewal with an increase at that time. But we didn't because there was supposed to be enough there that we didn't need to.
Correct.
Okay. Now, the other piece that we have to keep in mind is Ohio law has changed. So we used to be able to do, or maybe we can help with the language here, replacement.
Correct.
So the replacement would bring it up to current values, correct?
Correct.
So it used to be that we could go and say, hey, we don't want to run a new levy, we want to run a replacement, meaning that 2014 levy would be run at the 2026 standard now. Now we can't do that because the Ohio legislator said, no, that's confusing, people don't understand it. You have to run it as a renewal, meaning you stay at the old rate, or you have to run a new levy at the current rate. You have to call it a new levy. So everything we have is now locked in at the rates that it's at, from my understanding.
So a renewal does not update it?
Correct. 'Cause
Okay.
no.
We cannot do a renewal.
Yeah, we cannot
in the
do that
middle
anymore.
of.
You
Oh,
can't
you
bring it
can't
up
do
to
a,
current.
you can't replace it?
Correct.
You can,
You can
okay.
do a renewal, it stays at the old rate.
Okay,
You cannot replace any.
okay.
So they've eliminated that option. So basically, continue to always collect at the rate you did, which some of those could be 10, 20 years old, and we're looking at 12, 14-year-old levy dollars, or run it as a new levy. Those are your two options. And just so we're all on the same talking page about some of that information.
Can you explain the EMS levy, why that's separate? What that goes to?
Are you asking me or asking Nick?
Anyone that wants to
I don't
answer?
think I can answer that. That was
So-
that was before me.
Give me
It
a
was
little
put in place.
more context. What do you mean by
That-
that?
You said there's an EMS levy of 1.7 mils.
Correct.
What does that fund?
So that goes to the 21, hang on.
2281.
2280, so that's the 2281 fund. The 2191 fund is the fire levy. So 2191 gets 4 points, let me say my facts straight. All these numbers get blurry. It gets 4.9 mils. The other one gets a levy at 1.7.
Right.
It is listed as 2 because of rollback. That's gonna get way too far, but there's a rollback on one of those. So, but it was brought together in 2014 as one levy at 1.7 mils.
Yeah, those fire levies were, I think we had 4 combined into one, if I remember right.
Yeah, that, because they were all rollbacks, they couldn't be
Mhm.
combined together. So that was in 2018, we took a bunch of loose levies that were out there and slapped them together and said, bring it up to 18. Right.
So is the EMS money used for something other than fire department operations?
You can only, no, it's just fire department. But because it's an EMS levy and a fire levy, they're two separate levies, they have to go to two separate line items. So like police, it's easy when we look at their budget, all their money coming in comes into one budget, one tab on the spreadsheet, and is spent out of one tab. Fire, money comes in on 2 different tabs because they're 2 different line items. And then, so we gotta figure out, we can split up their expenditures kinda how we want to, with some restrictions to that. But those expenditures have to come out of 2 different line items.
Okay.
And that's where the math on that gets a little fuzzier, because you gotta bounce between 2 screens.
Okay.
And then supplement to our EMS is our EMS billing collection.
And that would come in in the EMS fund line.
Correct.
Okay, so can we change gears again?
Yeah.
If it passes, what's the plan?
So the plan would be that would be sustainment money to move forward as we are or to grow with the township. Would be the best way I can sum that up. As the township, again, if Mike
So-
Led was here, he would say there's a potential of 10 more years of growth. We already have currently 2 nursing homes with another large nursing home coming in. These are taking hundreds of calls. We know we have to keep up with those. I'm going to project, I tried to get numbers today and was unable to get into my IMS system to get those, but I will throw out a random number of, once the new one opens, 400 plus calls to nursing homes alone.
To date?
What's that?
To date?
When the
Or-
new one opens.
Okay.
We're probably 300 plus. I'm probably very conservative at 400 when the new one opens. But that's me throwing out a number. And as we go along with this and we get these, I'm not going to say the right word here, surprises, because we don't know what's coming. We have that sustainment money to keep moving forward with whatever's next, whatever the township brings in. So it would be our operating and sustainment moving forward, would be my best answer.
This is both to Kevin and Craig. I have concerns. If we pass the levy, that gets us in 2031 to $610,000. That seems like a big number, but let me explain why the carryover is important. As you collect levies, the money we bring in is gonna be more than we need each year till a certain point. It gets to a peak, and then it's gonna come back down. It's a bell curve. We do not receive our money to spend on the bills until March. But we have to budget and submit all of our documents on a calendar year. So we need to know in January that we have enough money to pay January, February, March before money comes in. That's a sustainable, healthy budget. For that number needs to be at 900,000. This levy puts us at 610,000 with making no changes, other than the M&I paying for the ambulance purchase that's coming in January 27. If we don't make any changes, we're still not getting where we need and it's starting to flatline at that point. So there has to be some changes. And I know you say, well, there's more business coming, there's more things coming, I need more staff. But the reality is we're still not getting to that bell curve without taking from other departments. Like we still have to look at this and make some adjustments and cuts in order to get it to where it needs to be in a healthy status. Like,
That was my question.
that's the perfect world, right? Perfect world, 900, I wanna say it's 980,000. That gets us to 3 months carryover. They kind of zero out and the money hits and then they're back to where they need to be. But if that hits at 980,000 in 2031 and that's the apex, the top of that bell curve, that's a concern then too, right? You're right back on the backside of that.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of unknown variables between the end of 26 and 2031. How does TIF funds work? Can we reallocate some of that? What is the JED actually gonna bring in? Because now we're gonna see some larger businesses coming in with more funding. What do property taxes really look like in 2031? Like, there's a lot of wild cards. So the best that I could project when I looked at numbers and talking with Jasmine was 1.95 mils gets us to that 2031 threshold with some additional changes. If you could make $100,000 in cuts every year, we could get to that 980,000. So we need to cut $100,000 from the budget with the levy passage. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Yep. Kind of. What are we gonna cut?
That's
And we'll have to be fluid on that. We'll have to see, again, Nick, I don't want to repeat what he said, but what JED dollars are coming in. Are we going to get more than what Jasmine is projecting? We have to flow with those.
I think we also have to operate conservatively, which means we need to look at what adjustments can be.
Yeah.
Have we instituted, at this point, a spending freeze in the fire department? No more Amazon orders, Lowe's, coffee,
That's part of the line item
everything.
carryover.
Like, is
Yes,
that
it's not.
instituted now? Like, we're not gonna see any more Lowe's credit card charges, like, freeze it all at this point? Outside of like, it's an emergency, we need
Well,
to fix the engine.
I would say yes, but I have to operate on certain things will come up. I mean, I know you're not asking this, but we do operate as a house that houses 24/7. I have to buy toilet paper. I have to buy certain things. There's certain things that have to happen.
Right. I'm just making sure we're getting
We are,
just necessities.
of course.
So I'll ask again, because I don't think I have actually got an answer. What will we be cutting going forward, even if the levy passes? Amazon's not gonna cut it. What's the plan?
You don't backfill.
All due respect, Nick, I'm not asking you.
Okay. I'm just trying to give you some answers.
And Kevin, that's just, I mean, everything I went through on the slide, we have to take a look at those as a board, and we have to say what's important to the board and what's important to us. If I go back to that slide again, we're talking about maintenance contracts, hard billing, overtime.
We're not,
You know, are we willing to make those decisions tonight, or is this an ongoing discussion that we need to have? I think it's an ongoing discussion.
Are those maintenance contracts gonna bite us in the long run, though? Like,
They
when
could,
I-
they could.
I'm
Again,
not a
I-
fire guy. I'm
yeah,
a
no,
manufacturing
they
guy.
could.
But when I look at manufacturing and we stop preventative maintenance, yeah, it saves us money on the front end, but then on the back end, we pay 10 times the cost when the machinery goes down.
and it's somebody's life.
Right.
I'm trying to answer this the best I can for you and the public, and I know we're having a discussion here, but I'm told to cut money, but if I spend 10,000, we don't have it. So I don't know which one. We gotta have those discussions. I don't know what you want me to do. I know what you want me to answer, and I know we can do some things, but it's gonna be week to week. We're gonna have to see what breaks next. I mean, we didn't even discuss the fire truck that's been out of service since March. That's $100,000. That's our new fire truck. Has been sitting there. I can't fix it right now. I'm running a 29-year-old fire truck right now as our first out fire truck. These
Not our new fire truck, not the one we just got from Streetsboro.
correct.
The Streetsboro one's up.
August 1st.
Yeah.
We're right
But
around
when
the
you just
corner.
said our new truck, I didn't want the public to think we bought.
No,
broke
no,
that
no.
truck.
You know, that was a $30,000 purchase out of the M&I, which is great, but it's already 26 years old. I think it's going to last, but these are the things we're doing. So when we talk about what are we doing, we're pinching, we're trying. But again, it's a little bit different because we have to operate 24/7. So things come up. I can't answer everything right now. But to answer your question, I think we need to look at the overtime right away and the callbacks. We need to go into that. I don't want to do hard billing. I think I know Kevin's response to that also. But those are the things we can save on right now.
Kevin, so you want to switch gears and go to public comment for a little bit, so we can
Yep.
continue discussion at that point?
Yep.
All right, so we're gonna open it up for public discussion. As we stated at the very beginning of the meeting, 3 minutes, we're gonna go on the list. Yeah, could you grab it for me, Dave? Thank you, sir. We're gonna go based on the list. If you decide you wanna talk and we already have this in our hand, that's fine. I will leave it up here. So you can give me a pen. There'll be a pen up here if you decide you also wanna talk. The board does not interact during these discussions. We just wanna hear your comments. You feed to us whatever you want to say. We'll take that all under consideration, and we'll go through these one at a time, 3 minutes. So we'll start with number 1, Tom Johnson. We do ask that you step up to the lectern if you're going to speak, and then they will set a timer up there for you.
Good evening. My name's Tom Johnson. I'm a resident of Brimfield Township. I'm here representing myself and speaking solely as a resident of Brimfield Township. I'm here tonight to speak about the proposed 1.95 mil fire levy that the trustees are considering placing on the November ballot. First, I want to make one thing clear. Voting no on this ballot issue is not a statement against the fire department. Likewise, voting yes is not the only way you can support our firefighters. Everyone understands that fire protection is one of the most important service local government provides. Our fire department deserves our respect and our support. My concern is not with the fire department. My concern is with the financial decisions made by the township trustees. First, I'm disappointed with how the 1.37 mil bond issue, which generated $8.5 million and was passed on November 20th, for the renovations of the fire station and the administration building was managed. The project was plagued with cost overruns, change orders, a lack of oversight, and efforts of the township to mitigate damages, and this was documented in township meeting minutes. Ultimately, to this date, provides little relief. The trustees had a responsibility to closely manage this project and protect tax dollars. Second, I believe the residents of Brimfield Township, as well as the members of the fire department, have been put in an unfair position. Cost overruns on this building project consume funds that could have remained available to the fire department in their operations. A predictable annual expense is far easier to budget than a lump sum payment. An example is the dispatch fees that the fire department paid of $132,000. Again, consuming budget money used to operate the fire department. These financial challenges do not happen overnight. Finally, I believe the fire department is being used to solve a problem that was created by the lack of township fiscal management. The fire department has spent years building trust and a strong relationship with our community. It should not now be placed in a position of asking residents to solve a budget problem that resulted in mismanagement of failed construction project with some estimates and $1 million cost overrun paid mostly by the fire department. The responsibility of these decisions belong with the township trustees. It's not a problem created by the fire department or the residents of Brimfield Township. It's the trustees' responsibility to develop a better solution than asking taxpayers to approve additional levy before addressing the issues that led us here. For this reason, I cannot support placing the levy on the November ballot. I respectfully ask the trustees to reconsider the purpose of a more financial solution.
All right, thank you for your time. Next up, we have Dick Mesner. Mr. Mesner.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I don't want to touch on the finances. I was going to make a few comments, but you've covered a lot of things pretty good this time. What I'd like to comment is the public health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of this community on it. Looking at what's coming up in the future. Number one, as Chief has mentioned, we have one nursing home open. We had another one just opened recently. We have the VA hospital, and we have another one on the West End. That's going to increase the activity of the fire department, as the chief has already eloquently mentioned on it. The other thing, as in any public health, safety, and welfare, you need the good equipment, you need well-trained people, and way to handle it. We've got 22 excellent firefighters, well-trained in firefighting and EMS on it. I was going to make a few other comments. I think you've covered them all. Nick, you covered a little bit about the House Bill 920 reduction factor, so I won't go into that on it. The other thing, too, with the nursing homes coming in, look at the buildings that are going in right now. And looking at it from a safety point of view, it presents a potential a lot of great problems for the township on it. We have a number of apartments going in. A lot of them are 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 connected units. They're going up, they're compacted, they're close together. It started with Pleasant Lakes. It's moved on now with the Redwoods, Green Hills, and also the saturation up at Pleasant Lakes. Also, the Casamentos North property is being developed in the same manner on it. A lot of potential problems can happen with this. Also, North Creek of the Maple Crest Golf Course is going to be light industrial. More factories coming in on it. What can happen? Look what happened at Twinsburg not too long ago on it. The need for public health safety on it. And there's a couple things that you really need. I don't have to mention this to the chief or to Roy. To have an efficient and operation to provide for the public health and safety and welfare of both people and property. You need to have the proper equipment, the necessary training. You have to have speed and quick response. You have to identify the situation, contain the situation, eliminate the situation, and secure the situation.
3 minutes.
That's going to increase tremendously because several years ago,
We're
when
at
the
3
township
minutes.
was redone and looking at everything else, top population at that time was 17,000 built out.
We're
So
at-
consider this and making your consideration. I know you have money problems, but consider the public health, safety, and welfare of the people of this community. Thank you.
Thank you. Dave Seuss.
A couple months before the last election, a former employee of the township decided to present their position on how we should vote. And the argument was that we should keep supporting the economic development of the township in order to keep improving our services. I'm not aware that the economic development has diminished at all, but here we are. We're looking at a levy now, a pretty significant levy. After property taxes just went up a huge amount at the first of the year. The reality is we're nickel and diming this guy to death. If he's not doing his job, then you should make the necessary changes in order to make sure he does his job. What I would expect from the three of you is to do some strategic planning to figure out how we get out of this mess. Because this isn't going to be the last time that somebody's going to come to us for a levy. We're not doing, all we're doing is plugging the hole in the dike tonight. That's all this is. It's up to the three of you to be the leadership in the township to make sure that we don't get here again. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up is going to be Jerry Taylor.
Hi, my name is Jerry Taylor. I live in Beechcrest Allotment. And as a former volunteer fire department for 14 years, we now have a full-time fire department staffed with 5 people. My attitude is, I don't want my taxes going up, but they can't run with just 5 people. As a volunteer, they paid us $7 an hour to come from home. You want to go back to a volunteer department? They can save money. He's already done away with fire inspections. Now these people don't have to keep up with the safety of the building. You go to a restaurant, power goes off. They haven't serviced their exit lights, their emergency lights. How are you going to get out of the building? Unfortunately, I feel for the chief. You can't operate at 2014 money. You want to cut staffing? Okay, they got 3 people running. They go out on a call. Your wife has a heart attack. You're gonna wait 20 minutes for a volunteer or another department to come from another township? That's what's gonna happen. You wanna cut staffing? Even with 5 people, they don't have enough. You run a severe emergency, it takes all 5 of them. Unfortunately, they have to call people back. Just because they're doing a callback doesn't mean those people have to come in. Say they're out on a cookout. I'm not gonna leave a cookout to come back in. I know everybody doesn't want their taxes up. My wife just inherited a second house, so our taxes are gonna go up double. And I'm not gonna gripe about it. We need EMS. My wife's a bad diabetic. She goes into a coma. I don't like that squad there. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Next would be Bill Neitz. Knights, thank you, sorry, do apologize.
That's all right. I'm Bill Nice. I'm a 10-year resident. I live in Country View Estates. I was hoping to get some questions answered, but I've been to a few other meetings, and I know you don't do that, so maybe after the meeting I'll get those answered. I'd really like to hear more clarification on your fire and EMS levies that you told us about. One thing I didn't hear the chief mention tonight was any type of grants that the fire department goes after. Other communities that I've lived in, the grants were substantial to help subsidize your program. So in your presentation, there was nothing in there whatsoever about grants that are available to the fire department. Speaking of presentations, you want to put a levy on. The first 5 years I lived here, my property taxes went up $1,100. This is my retirement home. I need the EMS. I need the fire department. I need good government. But I look in this room and I think, first of all, why isn't it packed here tonight? I don't understand that. Most of them are older like I am. I know the younger people don't care, but when I'm in distress, I want to make sure somebody's going to make it to my house. But at what expense to my pocketbook am I going to pay? Except for Kevin, all of you in this room and some others have made decisions to bring businesses in that are going to tax the fire department and the EMS. I told you last year, a meeting I came to, if you remember, I said, you need another fire station, and you looked at me like I was crazy. After all the hoopla that went on in this community, you looked at me, you got to be nuts. No, I'm not nuts, because the growth that's happening here is taxing us to death. Somehow, that cost needs to be passed on to those businesses. You have no problem coming to the taxpayer and asking for more money. But somehow, somebody needs to change it up and let the businesses take care of that. Finally, I hope if this is the levy you want to pass, that you put together a program that the residents can understand. I felt a lot of this tonight was a little vague. It's July. If you want to pass a levy in November, it's rush, rush, rush. And that's something we don't want to have pushed down our throats. So I appreciate the ability to come up here and say my piece. I hope after the meeting a couple of you can answer some of my questions. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. All right, next up we have Robert Zacher.
Good evening. How many people here are homeowners? Is everybody here a homeowner? Few renters? So pretty much everybody here it's going to affect. So I guess I have a lot of questions too, mostly about the 28 cents on the dollar for 70% of the runs. So I guess if I want that information, is that on the township website? Any of that information? Like percentages of EMS runs, fire runs, locations, things like that. Can somebody answer that? Is it on there? No? Okay. Okay. That was my main thing. Mr. Johnson's comments were spot on. Pretty much everybody's pretty much covered about what I had to say, with the exception of, this seems like all of this has been self-induced. We get developers to come in, they go to the zoning board, I think this is how it works. The zoning boards approve it, we slap up a bunch of Ryan Home vinyl-sided villages, we tax the hell out of them, and somehow the infrastructure for the whole community doesn't have the funds based on everything that's coming in. So what you just talked about with the businesses, nobody's really talked about letting all of these developers in and what it's putting the load on the fire department now. Because now we have 1,500 more people or houses. So it just seems, with the exception of Mr. Scott, it seems like all of this has been self-induced over the last 15 years through zoning and the township. That's all I gotta say. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. All right, we'll have a last call for public comments. All right, and none? I'll give this for- All right. That brings us down to the board motion. But before we go into that, I'll open the floor up to the board members, department heads for any additional questions, comments. They had time to digest some of that. Sue, we'll start with you.
Well, to ask for 1.95 to be voted on, whether we put it on the ballot or not, I would like the residents as a whole to be able to give us their opinion, more so than just 3 people up here or 21 people in the audience when we have over 4,000 voters. And so at this point, to not put a levy on would put us further in the hole in the next year and a half to 2 years. And I really appreciate the work that Jasmine has done. She does have a master's degree, I believe. Is it a master? She has a master's degree in accounting from Kent. Very knowledgeable about what she does. And she works very well with us. We can ask her any questions, and she's there to find the answer for us. And that has been a tremendous help for us working through what we're working through. But like I said, to not put it on the board, or not to not put it on, then I'm losing that opportunity for me to speak what I want, whether I want it or I don't want it.
Kevin?
Yeah, it definitely is a public health issue. I don't think there's, I can't speak for the rest of the board, but I would, in generalities, I don't think there's anybody against the fire department. We need a good fire department. We need a healthy fire department. We need to be able to service the residents, but we also need to do it efficiently. I think that's, the voters should, if you guys want it, you can vote for it, or whatever, on the ballot. The 3 of us shouldn't make that decision for the whole township, because it's such a vital part of the community. Without a fire department, or lack of a fiscal responsible fire department, we're in trouble. So that's the position we're in. We're just trying to do what's best for all of us. but I don't believe, well, for myself, I'm not against the fire department. I just think it needs to be run a little more fiscal responsible. Thank you.
Just kind of some follow-ups, some comments out there. Strategic planning, that has been starting to happen here. With Jasmine in office, we're seeing these projections, and this is how we're able to make some more of these decisions. We got to dig out of the hole and then project forward. She's doing an excellent job of that. I think this board is working very well with her and kind of guiding. It looks like we're stabilizing the general fund for 2027. Those projections are headed, so that's good. We've made a lot of progress. Fire is still an area that we need progress on. How do we slow down some of those things? That comes back to our zoning commission. Our zoning commission is the ones that we've tasked as a board to reword and rework that to slow down that. We have seen some good pieces come from them recently. In my opinion, I'm happy to see some of that slow down, so we slow some of that housing development down. I think that's gonna help us. We have to, that's the only tool we have to slow down. We can't stop it, but we can slow down development, and that's through proper zoning regulations that come into the board here. The housing developments, we have what we have right now. This is the cards that we're dealt with. We have to find a way to balance this, though. I don't want to cut staff. I don't want to go down to a volunteer fire department. That's my opinion on it. I worked in healthcare. My wife still works in healthcare. And I can tell you, when you start having lack of staff or you have a volunteer department, the other night, she's sitting in the ER, and she just shared the story with me. She goes, you hear the call go out, Nick, 85-year-old down. Wife's doing CPR trying to bring him back. Tone 1 goes, no response. Tone 2, no response. Tone 3, no response. 20 minutes before somebody finally said, yep, we'll be en route. That's not acceptable. And so, yes, we need to be more fiscally responsible in the fire department. I think there's some places that we can make some cuts and adjustments, and I think there needs to be a more detailed plan coming to the board and action taken not after the levy, but before the levy over the next several weeks. But we also are under an audit, right? Our auditor's looking at this saying, you're gonna be in the whole 400,000, what's your plan? This is step 1. We're gonna put this out there. Step 2 is, we got the levy out there, we need the fire chief and his staff to work with us and come together with a plan. What can we do? Let's get the guys out doing fire prevention. Even if it's $50,000, it's $50,000 we're saving. Every dollar we save. I mean, Kevin's done a great job. I enjoyed working with him. He's, $100,000, $1,000 here, $2,000 there. We save it, but then we spend it on the backside. Right? We're constantly looking at these bills in a different way. The fire department overruns, that would have been a much easier piece to cut if it was ran through the proper way through fiscal. It is what it is. When it's not billed through a specific fund that it should have been, there would have been a lot of changes to that construction project. I would have done some things differently myself. But when the money was paid out of fire and not paid through the right line item, that causes problems for us, and that's where we're at. And so now we'll settle it as we move forward. But dwelling on the past isn't gonna make this community better. Finding a path forward. And, Craig, I really implore you and charge you with saying, hey, we gotta come back on Monday with, all right, here's the next action item for you to do. These are the things. I hear that you're asking for a levy. The board hears you, but we also want you to do that. We as a board, though, have some action to take, too. I think we need to sit down with Jasmine, and we need to talk more about these tips and see what we can do to release this tension, because we can make it 2031, that doesn't, that's the apex. We gotta extend that out and look at some of those options. So that's kind of where I'm at with this.
Okay.
With that said, the next action is a resolution to proceed with the fire department levy. If this board does not pass it, it dies on the floor today, and then we'd have to go back to a resolution of necessity and then a resolution to proceed if we wanted to go a different route. So I will now open up the floor for a motion to approve a resolution to proceed with the fire department 1.95 mil levy in name only.
I would like to make that motion.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. I need a second.
I will second.
All right, we have a motion, a second on the floor. Additional comments before a vote comes for this levy, please.
If we do pass this, I would really encourage all the voters to take it seriously and to come out and vote and be a part of the process.
Greg, anything else before we vote?
No, apologize if I stumbled over my words. This is not my greatest thing to sit up here and speak. But I gladly take all your comments. I'll talk to you guys afterwards. I'll answer the best I can. Again, we are what we are right now, and you kind of had mentioned it. There were some things in the past that it's been tough to get to where we're at, and we'll look at things and bring those forward and discuss those as a board. So, but in the end, I do need to put this levy on and give the voters an opportunity to say yes or no. And I think that's all I'm asking for, and that's all the fireman is asking for a chance at it. So that's all I have.
Any further comments? We got a motion and a second on the floor. All right, if none, roll call. Kevin?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Nick? Yes. Motion passes. Resolution to proceed with an additional levy of 1.95 mils moves forward. I don't think we need an official motion for this, but I would ask, and ask for feedback from the board too. Craig, we have to have something on Monday. So a week from now, what are some action steps we're taking over the next week? What are some things that we can do to start to cut some more costs? And I think every meeting, we should just be bringing that forward, saying this is the next step we took. This was the next savings piece.
I will do the best I can.
I will encourage you to look at the fire inspections. Let's see how we can make that work on shift. And start bringing that piece in. And if we need to set some new fees, reach out to the attorney, get the fee structure, and get it brought to us so that the board can approve that structure. I mean, that's just my opinion. I don't think the rest of the board feels about that.
Absolutely. We can't continue on the direction we're at.
Okay. There is a potential for executive session. Is this something I need to bring the floor for a vote or not at this point? Any executive session tonight? Or any executive session? Okay. No need for executive session. Before we adjourn, do you want to give the one update? Everyone's here for Monday.
Oh, yeah, the other informational update was just in regards to the police department for the conditional offer of employment has been extended to a police captain candidate, and that candidate's name is Michael Penn. She's going to be the new police captain for the police department pending completion of some background pieces, but we have extended that conditional offer to Ms. Penn.
Excited for her to come on board. It's going to be a great fit over at the police department. Anything else? Is it in order?
Nope.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right, roll call. Kevin?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Nick? Yes. Meeting adjourned at 8:37 p.m. I think there's no signature.